Pippa, thank you so much for making time to join me on the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me. Super excited.
I can see all your incredible products in the background. Those who might be watching the episode.
Yes, old
Well,
book, old
perfect
branding,
branding.
new branding, the water bottle. We'll talk about branding. I'm very particular about my branding.
Well, if you're not watching on YouTube, then imagine Pippa being very on brand right now.
Pink.
Perfect. Perfect.
Imagine pink, a bit of pale pink and some white.
Beautiful. Let's go back to the beginning, Pippa, when you decided that this was your path, that you wanted to help people in this way. What inspired you? What initiated the first steps into this industry?
Well, looking back, that even when I was younger, a girl, and I was away at school, there was definitely that I liked helping people, whether that was giving people advice, whether it was doing their makeup, or perhaps helping them with a massage if they had sore shoulders. So I definitely liked helping people. That was one thing. And also, I grew up in a very foodie household. So my mother, she's Hungarian, and we grew up, everything was home cooked. She was an amazing cook. And actually, we didn't have much sugar or anything like that, because actually it just didn't it's not that it didn't exist in Hungarian cuisine, but it just wasn't a big thing. Anyway, so we're really foodie as well. So you imagine sort of liking to help, wanting to help people, interest in food, but I didn't really think anything more than that. But then I found myself, without realizing, just for self-interest, I would be reading nutrition books, because I loved good food, but also I was really interested in what foods we might need for certain things. Anyway, without babbling on about that, then I suffered with gut issues, particularly candida, had sort of bloating. I used to suffer a lot with cystitis as well. And PMT was the big one. So you think gut issues and then hormonal issues. But the PMT was so bad. I mean, we're not just talking about your average PMT. It was for 2 weeks out of every cycle. And I felt quite dizzy, and I feel like I had a bit sort of like flu, very emotional, brain foggy, very hard to do exams and things like that. Anyway, to cut a long story short, no one really could help me with those symptoms. Went to the gynecologist, they wanted to put me on the pill, etc., etc. And then I went to a nutritional therapist myself and found out I had something called estrogen dominance. No joke, within one cycle, my PMS was virtually gone. And this is after, I've been suffering for years. So there was the gut issues and the PMT, so much had resolved. And I thought, this is it. This is what I want to do. And it was a natural thing, because working in food, wanting to help people, and I wanted to just passionately spread the word and help other women. And then what happened was, I found that as I started, and I trained and I started as a nutritional therapist, I've just found that a lot of women were coming to me. So that I think it was the women that found me, and that helped me find my niche. But a lot of them were coming to me with weight issues. So where I started and I specialized really was very much helping women lose weight. And that's so rewarding. So rewarding. When a woman is, feeling like they want to lose weight, they feel overweight, it can affect their whole confidence. It can affect everything they do, from even their, job decisions. They won't even take a new job, or they won't wear certain clothes, or they won't do certain exercise. So it's this most rewarding thing when you help a woman lose weight, and she just feels really good. So that's how it all started, really. I think it almost wasn't conscious at the beginning, yes, because of my own health issues, but I think after that it just happened organically. So it's how the people come and see me were women at a certain age, and they helped me find my niche, really.
Yeah, beautiful. And I love that, because you see a real problem, you solve that problem for people, and it becomes your area of specialism. And it's such an easy thing to overthink, but actually that more organic evolution of a niche makes more sense, because you sort of your natural inclination is to do work that you enjoy, and suddenly more people are coming to you because of that. Yeah. I'm interested about this sort of weight loss niche, because I'd love to know if it's still a central tenet of your message, and sort of how you feel as the industry has evolved and almost demonized, that pursuit of weight loss. It's almost like not allowed to be a
Oh, there's
goal
been
for
a complete
women.
backlash in the media. So there's been a complete backlash in the media about weight loss. And yet what I see and have seen in clinic over 15 years is that it does matter to women. So women are being told they shouldn't worry about it and it shouldn't matter.
Mm,
But hang on a minute, are we saying then being overweight is healthy? I think
mm,
that's the wrong message, because I'm not talking about the physical, appearance side of things. Of course, that absolutely changes a woman's life. But these women that would come to see me, it wasn't just weight. In fact, we almost didn't talk about the weight. So I would be trying to find out why. It's like being a detective. And that's what my first book was about. Why can't they lose weight? And often it would come down to particularly one body imbalance. Now, there may be sort of more or secondary ones, but it could be digestion, it could be low thyroid function, it could be insulin resistance, high blood sugar, could be
mm.
estrogen dominance, which I suffered from. So that it was understanding why. Because some of these women they were either starving themselves, they tried this diet or that diet, that diet. Either it wouldn't work or it would, but it was always short term. So I wanted to know why. So they come to me for weight loss and they're like, hang on a minute, I've come to you for weight loss and you ask me all these weird questions.
Right.
You've hardly mentioned weight at all. So that was my point. I had to find out, and I wanted to find out why. Because until you sort out the why, then either you can't help them lose weight or it won't be long term. So then with all the questioning, it might be they say, yeah, oh yes, I've always suffered with bloating, or I've always had painful periods, or I've always just felt really tired. So
Mm,
with all this questioning, then I would try and understand what the body imbalance was. But you're right. I mean, there has been and still is very much a backlash about weight. But then why is my book selling well? Why do we get women coming to us?
yeah.
Now, that is still a huge part of our business, but hormones as well. Because, as I've said, these root causes. So a lot of women still come to us with weight issues, and we a huge amount with hormonal issues that may be linked with weight as well or not, but we do a lot of hormonal issues, whether it's thyroid, or we find out that there's female sex hormone imbalances, for example. But the fact is, a lot of women want to lose weight.
Yeah. And, for me as a marketer and thinking about business strategy, you've always got to remember to give your client the message that they want to hear. And that doesn't mean that you can't tell them what they want and then give them what they need. So telling them what they want, which is this conversation about losing weight, might not be the thing that ends up being the central tenet of the result. It might be a byproduct of a lot of other success metrics, but that's the core of marketing, isn't it? Tell someone what they want and then give them what they need. And what you're giving them is a much broader result than just the weight
Yeah,
loss.
and it might be for them the priority is weight loss, but then they come back and they say, wow, yes, I've lost weight, but I
All
am
these other
sleeping
things.
so well. I'm not bloated. I'm not.
Right.
And funny enough, the things that they talk about, say if they go on holiday and they all hell breaks loose, they just like go crazy, and they come back, and actually the big thing they focus on isn't always the few pounds that they might have put on, but then usually it's not as much because they don't go completely crazy. They've usually learned a few tips and tricks, but they'll say, oh, I'm so bloated, or I'm not sleeping well, or I've broken out in
Mm.
acne. And that's the thing they really care about.
Yeah. Yeah, really interesting. Let's dive into this business of being an expert, Pippa, because you have built a phenomenal brand. Your content is incredible. I mean, you're such
Yeah.
a pin-up for
Oh.
a successful wellness expert. So tell me about when you started out though, because, for those listening, when you are starting out building a brand, showing up and being visible, you're not necessarily getting results straight away. And there's that need to be consistent, to be committed to playing that long game, to overcoming the feelings of self-doubt and imposter syndrome. And is there actually space for me? So when you first started out, talk to me about, how you built that courage and commitment to starting and building.
Yes, you're right. All of those things you said are so true. And I think a lot of people go through those. For me, I live in Jersey. It's a small island. I'm actually from London, but I live in Jersey, have been here for 25 years now. So my children grew up here. Now, Jersey is, because it's a small place. So if you are specializing in a certain area and there isn't anyone else, or perhaps there are less people in your area, then you stand a good chance, word spreads, whether it's good or bad, word spreads. I built my business up slowly because of the children and their school hours, but I was always, even from starting work, I was busy. And I think because word can get out quite easily, and then again, not many people were doing certain things when I launched. There was a particular weight loss program that I launched, and no one else was doing that here. So I was in the local newspaper.
So it was very local, very sort of
Yeah,
in person.
very, very local. So I was not online in those early days at all. It was all very, very local. And then, well, we didn't really have that back then, that kind of online sort of way back then. And so I built up slowly. And then what happened was, because in those days, people really, to go and see a functional medicine nutritionist or nutritional therapist, people really wanted to see someone in person. And then very slowly, what I found happened, because of the program that I was offering, I had clients who would recommend me to other clients. Perhaps they were in London. They might have been in Australia. So I got these personal recommendations. But by this time, I'd started Facebook. I hadn't, in those days, done Instagram. I didn't understand Instagram. I was like, what's a hashtag? Why do you use them? I don't get it. So I was very much Facebook's quite local. It's quite a local thing, Facebook. And I got quite a good following on Facebook, and that was really, really useful for my marketing. So Facebook was really good. And then I was in local magazines and the newspaper. But I was being referred to people friends of clients abroad. So that's how the online business started. But because I was getting more and more from London, I decided to open a clinic in London. So in Harley Street, I had a room there, and I opened a clinic there, but I was just there once or twice a month. That was really hectic, I have to say. I remember going through, I think it was my daughter doing her GCSEs, going back and forwards to London. It was quite hectic. Look, it's only, an hour sort of flight, but it's still
all the travel around it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, thinking who's going to do the school run and all this sort of thing. And my husband was really busy. So I had to really make sure that, everything was covered. So, so then that's how it just grew organically. Then I can't remember how long I've been doing Instagram. I set up an Instagram account because I was told I should. I was like, this is not going to be anything. And I set up then the Instagram account. That grew quite quickly. I remember I got to about 5,000 followers, but I didn't get any business from it. Not like I did Facebook. And I was like, this is never going to work. And I kept on it. Kept posting every day. I was like, I've got really good content here. Why are people not seeing it? Why are they not engaging?
Can we dig into that? Because, that is hard to keep posting every day and not seeing any results. Mm-hmm. What's the psychology behind that?
Because I knew that it was international. So for me, I knew that, I didn't know one day, but I knew I just had to keep at it. I knew there was a way. I just felt it was very competitive. I also thought, maybe it's just not reaching the right people, because I just wasn't getting business from it. So I would get likes and things like that, but I wasn't getting enough business from it. And so that was really hard. That was hard. And then I think I realized that the things I was saying on Instagram, the content was really good, but I slightly tweaked it so it was a bit more, I think you had to be a bit more shock tactic. But then it was actually, so I think I was about at 5,000 followers. And then I got a couple of celebrity clients. That was very useful. And then COVID hit. So actually people were really online, and my Instagram just grew. I think women were interested in health. At that same time, I launched a DNA package. And DNA was not, it was like, just go and do your sort of little DNA. For health, it was not a big thing at that stage. Also, it's just only done through a practitioner. But I went to the lab and said, look, at the moment, we can only offer it through me, but I want to be able to sell it to the public. People don't have time now. They literally, or they think of something and they want to do it now. So if somebody wants to buy a DNA package at 11 o'clock at night, you've got to be able to offer that. Not to, oh, send me an email and I'll get back to you. You've literally got to be able to, people want to buy it now. So we launched it to the public just around the time COVID hit. I'd got a couple of celebrity clients. My Instagram was growing a bit more. We sold 250 packages within 48 hours.
Wow.
That's 250 consultations from me. So the lab were laughing. They were like, woohoo! You know, they just had to mainly go to the post office and generate all these reports once they were through, send, you know, the test kits out, etc. But I was doing the consultations. So that literally things went crazy, and that they were nearly all international.
How interesting. And what was the promise of that DNA program? What was the outcome that you were selling?
So I wanted to call it the Female Health Gold. The idea was, I remember the conversation, even where I was in my house, walking around speaking to the lab, the DNA lab that I use. And I said, I'm thinking like, you know, BA executive club like thing. So let's go in with a gold, but know that we might want maybe a platinum or a bronze, silver or something like that. So the promise was women who haven't done DNA testing before, they want to find out the root cause of their problem. They might have tried, a million things to sort, whether it's their hormones, their diet, but still not getting resolution. Yes, for prevention as well, but I knew that most people were doing it because they had a problem. So the idea was, let's have a look and see where the problem could be coming from. Because your genes don't lie. And also it's a one-off test. Never have to do it again. But it can help us understand a little bit more where the problem is actually coming from. Because of functional tests, they're great, but they are here and now. So, and then you have to do like so many different functional tests because might not be sure where the problem is. So that's where the DNA comes in, and it's incredibly useful.
And it really speaks to that woman who has tried everything and is looking to finally unlock the real underlying problem that's stopping them from getting to their goal. So it's powerful messaging as well. When you started in those early days, did you think of yourself as a business owner, as an entrepreneur?
Goodness no. To be honest, I was so busy. I didn't have time to think about things like that. I mean, I was just so busy throughout COVID, certainly at the beginning. My business had always been busy, but I thought, oh, COVID's going to hit. I'm going to be so quiet. And then, of course, I launched this. Next thing, my diary was booked up for 6 months. So there I was, like this, standing up desk, children at home learning, my husband as well. I mean, literally, we're all at desks around the house. It was crazy. And I was literally at my desk, which was not necessarily healthy for me. I was at my desk from 8 in the morning to 8 in the evening, literally kind of like back-to-back consultations. So, I mean, I know my DNA very well. So literally all these consultations were nearly all the Female Health Gold.
Yeah. This is interesting because you're obviously at a point now where, like you say, you're really busy, you're booked out, and a lot of listeners will hear that and will fear it. They will worry that sounds too hectic or stressful. And I mean, you noted there yourself, it wasn't ideal for your health. But sometimes what happens, and I see this a lot, is I see practitioners trying to skip that stage. So they just want to get to the part where they can sell, passive programs and lie on a sun lounger and make money.
Everyone's trying to do that now, earn money while they sleep. You almost can't get there until you've been at that place where I was, actually, because you need to, one, be known in your area for it. You need to have that experience to really understand. I mean, I know women's health really well. I've seen...
From experience, right? From being back-to-back sessions.
I've had thousands of clients, and I think that's where you can come out and, your diploma or whatever, and but you're not ready quite yet for the real world, where you really learn. And that's where I tell my practitioners now, which we'll come on to. I had to grow my team very quickly. When they joined me, I said, this is where you start learning. And it's really having a sense, because it's that intuition. Sometimes you might not even see it in a test result. You literally have to feel and understand and listen to what your client's telling you. And it really is the experience, because then you start saying, oh, hang on, I've seen this before. I'm going to try this, these foods. I'm going to try this supplement. So that is key. Clinical experience is super important. So if you're thinking of launching a program before you've done your clinical hours, forget it, because you still have to offer, you have to offer that knowledge that you've already had, that experience that's still got to go into your courses. For me now, people, you say people might be scared. However, that was probably the real extreme. And the reason why I couldn't control it, because actually some practitioners can control it because they just reduce their booking hours. The reason why I couldn't is because I had no idea that overnight, in those 48 hours, I had no idea that we would sell 250 DNA packages. I really didn't expect that. And I didn't think, this is the thing, I don't think, I didn't think that was going to happen. So I didn't think, oh, well, like that means 250 consultations for me, because they have to take place, because they bought a package that includes the test and a consultation. So those have to happen.
They're being sold.
They've been sold. People don't want to wait forever. They'll start complaining. So you had to do it. But if you were just doing a normal consultation that didn't have, say, a test package, for example, so they weren't waiting for their results, then actually you can control your hours a bit more. But so at this point, when I sold all these packages, life was busy, work was busy. I had 50 emails sitting in my inbox. Things like that just weren't getting done. So then that's where I needed help. And that's when the team grew from there.
Yeah. And this is a great next part of our conversation to dive into. You reach a point in your business where you are busy, you can't wear all of the hats anymore. So talk to me about the order in which you hired. It sounds like it was practitioners first to help with delivery.
But at the same time, I took on a practitioner and somebody to help with email inquiries, because we were just getting so many. Every time, it was during COVID, every time I did an Instagram live on a Monday night with Davinia Taylor, oh my God, we had tons of emails then coming in the next day. But those emails eventually helped us work out how to change the information on our website, the information we put out on Instagram. So it's important you keep getting these questions coming in. Well, then you need to have an FAQ sheet. You need to change your website, make sure that perhaps there are questions that are answered there and then they don't have to email. You'll always still get emails, of course. But yes, so I literally had to hire quite quickly. Now, the bit which we'll get onto the part of the business, I'm rubbish with money. I am rubbish at this stage. Even before this stage, I had a bookkeeper where I would just take shopping bags full of receipts and just dump them on her desk. I literally, not interested, don't like it, someone else sort it for me, sort of thing. So this is the thing, in hindsight, what I wish I didn't have time to think about it. And now, of course, I do now and sort of later on, is you do want to be careful that you are not then, it was fine at this stage, but you're not hiring all these sort of admin people now, practitioners. Obviously, the main thing is if they're earning, you're earning. So in a way, that's not too bad. But I took on a marketing person as well. That's a cost. The person answering emails, it's a cost. So it's all very well then hiring all these people, but before you know it, you're earning way less than what you were earning before. So you have, you've got to understand those figures. And I didn't really look into that. Now, I wasn't, the situation wasn't that I was earning less, because actually I was doing so many clinical hours and we were selling so many of these DNA tests. But as your business keeps growing and growing and growing, that's something, if it's not your area of expertise, you do need to work closely with your accountant, bookkeeper. And I think that's probably definitely my weak spot there. I'm now kind of quite involved, but understanding your balance sheet. So my business just it just grew, and then we became very well known in the area of female health and hormones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful. And it's so interesting, isn't it? Because it makes a lot of sense practically to hire additional practitioners. But like you say, your revenue can be increasing, but your profit margin is slowly reducing because people are at the highest cost for any business.
Yeah, it's the admin side. So if you're taking on practitioners, then in some ways, if everyone's freelance, then actually, if they earn, you earn. So in some ways, that's less of a cost, because that if they're earning, well, you're earning as well if you're taking a percentage. But it's those other things can really seek up, because as you're as you have more practitioners, you need to pay for more emails. You need to pay for more. Suddenly, you get stung on your customer CRM systems when you go up to a certain amount of practitioners, and they bump it up to however much a month. You've got your Google
Right.
Drive, whether your Dropbox or these things really add up.
Software adds up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
as an online business, I rely on all of that. So I need that. I'm now spending a fortune. I'm creating a new website because I've outgrown the one I was using. So these things add up. So you think, oh, this is fine. But actually, it's still costing you to have those practitioners. I'm not sounding, all doom and gloom, because you can still make it absolute. You can make it work, but you just have to be aware of these other costs and think, oh, this is all, fine when you look at your turnover, but then you just really look at those profits and your costs. So I think that's something that, people can definitely fall into a trap. Now, I wouldn't want to go back to working those like 12 hours a day, because that was not healthy for me at all. And I definitely got stressed. And then I was, I never really got ill, but I found out I was getting ill sometimes. But those are the things. It all sounds lovely, but then you've got to be prepared to be the boss. Now, I never planned anything really like that. I mean, I had my sales ideas, but I never knew I would end up with 5 practitioners, a marketing manager, an assistant. I never thought that was going to happen. There was no 5-year plan. People come and say, "What's your 5-year, 10-year plan?" Don't know. So now all I know is that I want, yes, the supplement side, I really do want to grow. I'm happy with where I am on the consultation side. I wouldn't want to take on another practitioner. We're a team. I'm very happy with that. We work very closely together. So I wouldn't want to grow that side. But, within the space of 18 months, I launched my Female Food Club membership. Which is an online membership club. I launched supplement range and published my first book. This is a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
But things happen like that. These opportunities, sometimes they go because one thing leads to something else. So I didn't plan any of those. The membership, in some ways, I did, but this is typical how I have ideas. I'll be walking my dog or driving back from the gym, and suddenly an idea pops into my head. Now, it might just be the raw idea, but then I'll go to my marketing manager and she'll refine it. So my idea was, I want to look, as you're saying, people talking about whether it's memberships or courses or things. So I was thinking of just creating a Facebook group that would be a paid Facebook group membership. But she said, no, well, actually, why don't we create a membership platform? Because I'm doing this course, I've learned about this platform called Searchy, which is created for memberships. Why don't we make it something a bit snazzy, a bit more formal, where people can log in and get the recipes and watch the videos? And I thought, oh, this sounded great. But we were so naive. Honestly, we were so naive. How much effort you'd need to put into it. You just say, oh God, she said, these things tend to run themselves. They don't. So I'm
so glad that you're sharing this, Pippa, because, this is part of the illusion that I want to fast forward past the one-to-one client stage and have something more passive. And there's an illusion that it's easier and that it runs itself. And
no, it
is the greatest illusion of all. It's a volume-based business, isn't it? And I'm sure, every membership has natural churn, people coming and going. You've got to sustain those.
It is actually really hard. And if you think about it, so we have this Facebook group. So the actual hub that was created in a way is quite easy, but you still have to have people to put the content in there, upload the videos that I do with guest speakers. Within the Facebook group, then my practitioners answer questions in there on a daily basis. So when we first launched, I think we were hoping for about 200, because what we did was a wait list. So we could gauge roughly how much we might get. And I'm not a marketing person, but Holly, my marketing person, said, 10% would be really good. So at the most, maybe we'll get 200 members sign up. So we opened the doors. It was a closed membership when we launched it. It was January, so nearly 2 years ago. And we opened it for 5 days only. And we had 600 people join. And the questions were blowing up in that Facebook group. We were so not prepared. How were we not prepared for that? Like, then who was going to answer the questions at the time? I didn't have the practitioners answering questions, so it was pretty much me and Holly, and it was crazy. So then I tried to get some other people to come in who I knew, clients and things that would be ambassadors and things. I mean, it literally was crazy, and we just didn't foresee that. How we didn't, I don't know. Now we don't have 600 members now because at launch, it's new. You're always going to get a lot, but you're right.
Right.
You have to keep promoting it. You have to keep going into the marketing, making sure the existing members are happy and the content is fresh. We have to keep doing promotions to get new members in. And it's the average, I mean, we get people, I'd say on average, so some people will stay for years and they're the founding members, and they say they're never leaving. Then there's someone another type of person who comes in for about 3-4 months and then goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's just the natural order of memberships.
I know somebody in America who runs a very similar program, and it's exactly the same thing. So you do have to keep marketing it. So you think this is just going to be running while you sleep. That's not the case. And it's that churn rate. And I think I'm fine now, but I used to get really upset when I used to see those numbers go down, but then it would go up again. And then, but it does require focus, definitely.
Yeah. And you've also mentioned Holly, your marketing manager.
Yes.
I mean, that's another resource, isn't it? It's again, underestimating the necessary resources around you required to run those sorts of offers.
Yeah.
I'm conscious of our time, Pippa. What would you say have been the most valuable investments that you have made, either in yourself as an entrepreneur, like learning the language of business and being able to run a business that supports your lifestyle as well as your professional goals?
I would say, sort of personally now, I mean, where I'm at now, I'm very fortunate. So that because I work for myself, I mean, I would not want to work for anyone else. So I love the fact that I am running my own business. I mean, I think it's a very, very fortunate place to be in, because I love the fact that I can now, I am in a position, we can really control my hours. I'm not seeing, doing the one-to-ones anymore like that. I mean, I may do, whether it's journalists or celebrities, but I don't have that. So if I need to do something or take my children back to university or something like that, I can be really flexible. So I love that flexibility. And I'm so pleased. I definitely wouldn't go back. I've loved all those years, but I really love where I'm at now. I love helping my practitioners. I love having my marketing meetings. I love brainstorming ideas. It's exciting on a day-to-day basis, actually, now.
Mm-hmm. And what's enabled you to get there in terms of investing in team? What's been the most critical, important element of investment for you? Team, marketing, something else?
Marketing. People slash back on marketing all the time. It is absolutely key. If you think now how the platforms like Instagram, I mean, we get so many clients coming from Instagram. So you have to invest in marketing, whether you're doing it yourself or you get an expert in. It's really important.
Tell me about your Instagram, Pippa, because your content is so on point. How do you translate things that you're learning from your clients and what they want and need from you into meaningful content in such a consistent way?
I think, and somebody said this the other day to me, actually, I'm working on another project, but somebody said to me the other day, wow, you explained that so easily to me. So I have other friends who are practitioners they're used to teaching other practitioners. So at a slightly maybe different level, I am so used to, because of all the clients I've had, you have to be able to explain things to them in layman's terms so they understand. So in a way, it's quite easy for me on Instagram. I can explain quite sciencey things in a very easy way, and I'm quite visual and I use my hands a lot, and so I feel that is definitely something to my advantage, that I can reach, because Instagram, of course, you are reaching. I'm not teaching practitioners, although they say they're learning from it too, but I'm teaching the public. So I think it's putting something across in an easy way and fun. I don't care if I jump off a wall to get people's attention. I've done all sorts of odd things on Instagram. Even my daughter's gone, wow, that was unusual. So those are the things I even laugh back at myself. Like this, I did a bad breath one the other day and I was like, oh, poo, hoo, hoo. so overacting. It's ridiculous. But I think you just have to have fun with it and not worry. I worried in the early days about what people would think. I don't care. Just get your message across. Talk to people on Instagram like you would to your clients, and do it in a fun way. Try and enjoy it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of repetition too in the messaging. It's the same sort of thing being said, just in lots of different creative ways. Do you ever feel like, I've said this so many times before, I can't believe I'm saying it again? That plays on people's minds.
No, because I'll talk about estrogen dominance a lot, and then I get a message saying, "Oh, I think I'm suffering with such and such," or I've read about something, too much estrogen. Is this a thing? And I'm like, have you not seen all my posts? So actually, no, because
Exactly.
people will think when they're posting on Instagram that, oh my goodness, I'm going to bore people. This is the same thing going over and over again. But with the algorithms, not everyone's going to see, or they're not going to see all your posts. So, and actually you do need to keep honing in, because by the fifth post, they might say, this is it. It's my hormonal migraines. I think it's the estrogen dominance. I'm going to book in.
Yeah. That repetition is so important. I always say, how many times have we heard Nike say, just do it? And they're still saying it, and they'll still be saying it in 50 years' time.
Yes, exactly.
So this has been a fantastic chat, Pippa. It's been so insightful to see how you've really stepped into that specialist field, because I tell my clients all the time, the wellness industry needs more specialists and not more generalists. You've been really candid about how you've grown your business, that it was that very focused clinic work, maxing yourself out with that clinic work before growing into the next level of memberships and so on. It's been really, really useful. And I'd love to conclude with just a few quick round questions. So don't overthink these, just whatever first comes to your mind. The first one is, what do you wish that you had known when you first started your business journey?
Finances. Honestly, good skills. Really, really understand. It's not that I'm even bad at maths, but you really need to understand your balance sheet. I don't know the terms. Let's just say finances.
Yeah. And does that mean for you spending time with numbers?
Yes, a little bit, but not so much. I just, now my accountant knows what fields to put things in, because there's so many different parts to my business. Now I can understand it and I can see the results quite quickly. But I think understanding numbers and asking them to put it in a way that you understand as well, and not just, I don't want to see what's happening this year, but I want to understand how that it was compared to last year and the year before. So it's fine now, but it's taken a little while to get there.
It's really good advice. And I think that most of my clients feel that they can't ask their accountant to simplify things for them. And actually, accountants aren't trained to simplify things for you. They are trained to do complex work. So being unafraid to say, could you explain that to me,
Yeah.
is such a powerful
And it might be they need a
approach.
bookkeeper. And look, my accountant has been doing bookkeeping work, which of course the hourly rate is a lot. So I am now trying to find, which I should have done ages ago, a bookkeeper that will work with my accountant. But then they tend to be the ones that you can speak to a bit more on a daily basis, and it won't cost you so much.
Yeah, good tip. What is the thing that you love the most about your job and the business that you've built?
I love the variety. I love having the meetings, dealing with people. So I love chatting to my marketing team and brainstorming. Then perhaps if I'm in the mood, then I'll go on Instagram and do a story. So I think it's that communications side, which I really like. Mm-hmm. And it's not just with clients anymore. I love the fact that it's talking different areas of the business.
Beautiful. Love it. What is the best piece of business advice that you've received along the way?
I think that was actually about the Instagram, when I kept saying, oof, I don't think this Instagram thing is going to work. I'm not, do you think? And I remember saying, really, do you think there's a future there? And they said, you've got to do it. So I was really not keen on doing the Instagram. I thought, no, I'm happy just with the Facebook here. So that was the best bit of advice, is going over to Instagram and spending time there.
Amazing. Brilliant advice. Pippa, you've been amazing. You're so inspiring. And I know that those listening, who I'm sure will now go and explore all of your work in more detail if they have not already, we really appreciate your being so candid, being so honest, and being somebody for other practitioners to look up to.
Oh, thank you so much. It was really good to talk to you.
Thank you.